In a humble farmhouse, the youngest son was treated as though he mattered least, even though his heart was the gentlest of them all.
Watch and learn, little fool. I will be back with enough wood for the whole week before noon.
Because he was favored for his strength, the eldest brother received the best food the cottage could offer. Proud and well-fed, the eldest brother marched into the forest, believing luck would obey him.
Good day, young master. Share a little cake and wine with me, for I am hungry and thirsty.
Henrik's. The eldest brother refused the request and turned away in selfish pride. By the way, he raised his axe with all the confidence in the world, yet the forest offered him no blessing.
My arm. Curse this wretched tree and this miserable day.
The eldest brother limped home injured, and still no one thought kindness might have changed the outcome.
I will do better than he did. A little bad luck does not frighten me.
The second brother received the same generous provisions and the same easy confidence. Certain that he would succeed where his brother had failed, the second brother strode into the same waiting woods.
Keep away from my food and drink. What I give you, I lose myself.
He dismissed the warning of the moment and set to work without patience or humility.
My leg! This cursed chopping has ruined the day!
The second brother returned hurt as well, yet the family blamed the forest before they blamed their own hardness.
Father, let me go into the forest for once. I may not be strong, but I can still try.
At first, the father refused, certain that the youngest son understood less than anyone. Younger sons in old folk tales,
Go then, if you must. Experience may teach you what words cannot.
the youngest son was given only a coarse ash cake and sour beer, the plain leftovers of a house that expected nothing from him. Simpleton entered the forest with little food, little praise, and far more kindness than anyone had noticed.
Even the forest seems friendlier than people expect. Perhaps today will not be so bad after all.
In the heart of the clearing, the same little grey man appeared once more, but this time the forest met a different kind of traveler.
The little grey man asked for a share of food and drink, and the request sounded less like a burden.
I have only an ash cake and sour beer, but if that is good enough for you, let us sit and share it together.
The two sat together on the moss as equals, and generosity transformed the poorest meal into something rich.
This was not what Mother packed for me. The forest has turned my poor meal into a feast.
Because you shared gladly, good fortune will share itself with you. Cut down that old tree, and you will find a treasure at its roots. Simpleton did not boast or question. He simply trusted the kindness he had shown, and the kindness returned to him. The old tree groaned and fell, opening the hidden glade beneath its roots. By the way, ancient oaks often symbolize there beneath the roots sat a goose whose feathers shone like hammered gold, as though sunlight itself had taken living form.
Well now, my bright friend, I think you and I have found each other for a reason.
As twilight settled over the path, Simpleton carried his marvelous prize toward the nearest inn, unaware that the strangest part of the adventure had only begun. At the village inn, every flame and every pair of eyes seemed to turn toward the golden bird. The innkeeper's daughters had never seen such a creature, and curiosity quickly ripened into greed.
Sleep well, shining friend. Tomorrow we will see where the road leads us.
When the room grew quiet, the eldest daughter crept in first, certain she could steal one golden feather for herself.
What is this? My hand will not come away from it.
The second sister rushed to help, but greed and haste are poor guides in a magical room.
Now I am caught too. Do not pull so hard or we shall both tumble over. The youngest daughter ignored every warning and sprang forward to join the confusion. I only meant to help, and now I cannot move either.
So the three sisters remained fastened together through the night, while the Golden Goose kept its own serene counsel.
Excellent. At sunrise, Simpleton simply picked up the goose and walked on, and the three daughters had no choice but to follow.
Across the open meadows marched the strangest morning procession the countryside had ever seen.
If you truly wish to travel with me, you have chosen a very odd way to do it.
The goose flashed like moving treasure in the morning light, drawing stares from every fence and field.
Shame on you, girls! Running after a young man through the fields is no proper sight at all.
The parson seized the youngest daughter to rescue her, but the spell cared little for good intentions.
Your Reverence, where are you hurrying off to? We still have the christening to prepare. Mercy on us! I am stuck as surely as a nail in oak.
Two farmers working nearby stared in open amazement as the living tale behind Simpleton grew longer and stranger.
Hold still, sir. I will pull you free before you lose your shoes in the mud.
The moment the first farmer grabbed the sexton, the magic fastened him into the chain as firmly as the rest.
Then I must save you both, because this foolishness has gone far enough.
Now 7 followers trailed behind the Golden Goose, and the countryside seemed to burst with laughter even before the princess heard the tale. Simpleton did not quicken his pace or boast over his strange fame. He simply kept walking toward the town. When the procession clattered into the town square, every merchant, child, and guard turned to stare.
Above them all stood the princess, a royal daughter so solemn that no one in the kingdom had ever coaxed a true laugh from her. At first, she tried to remain as serious as ever, yet the sight below tugged at her composure.
The chain jostled, bowed, stumbled, and dragged itself in one impossible rhythm across the square beneath the princess's gaze.
I cannot help it anymore. This is the most ridiculous sight I have ever seen. The princess laughed, and with that sound, the whole square seemed to brighten around her.
By law, the one who made the princess laugh had earned her hand, but the king's heart was not pleased with such.
If you wish to marry my daughter, first bring me a man who can drink an entire cellar of wine.
If that is your command, Your Majesty, then I will seek such a man.
Rather than despair, Simpleton returned to the forest, trusting that the same strange mercy would guide him again. At the crossroad, he found a gaunt man, whose thirst seemed to have outgrown all ordinary measure.
I have drunk a whole cask and still my throat burns as if it were full of dust.
Then come with me. I know a king with a cellar large enough to test that thirst.
The royal cellar opened before them in towering rows of oak and iron. By the way, large medieval... Without waiting for ceremony, the thirsty man bent to the first barrel and began to drink.
More! More! The casks are only now beginning to ease the fire inside me.
Cask after cask emptied, as though the cellar itself were being drained by a thirsty wind. By nightfall, the last barrel stood empty, and even the king could not deny what he had seen. Your Majesty, the cellar is dry. I have fulfilled your condition.
Then bring me a man who can eat a mountain of bread, and only after that shall we speak again of marriage.
Back in the forest, Simpleton soon discovered a man whose hunger seemed larger than any ordinary body could contain. I have eaten a whole bakehouse, and still my stomach feels as empty as a drum. I bind myself only so I do not fall apart from hunger.
Then come with me. The king has gathered exactly the meal your hunger has been waiting for.
The palace courtyard had been piled high with loaves from across the kingdom until it resembled a hill of harvest itself. Better, better, yet the hollow inside me still calls for more.
As the hours passed, the bread mountain shrank loaf by loaf until courtiers whispered that the impossible was happening before their eyes.
At last, the final loaf vanished, and for the first time, the hungry man looked almost satisfied.
Your Majesty, the bread is gone as completely as the wine was.
One task remains. Bring me a ship that can travel on land and on water, and then I shall deny you no longer.
For the third time, Simpleton trusted the path that had already led him through wonder and trial. There in the glowing glade, the little grey man returned, as if he had been waiting beside destiny itself.
You have helped me more than anyone else in the world. If I have come this far, it is because you first answered kindness with kindness.
I have eaten for you, and I have drunk for you, and now I will give you the ship as well, because your heart was generous from the beginning.
Mist rolled over the riverside meadow, and from that shining veil, a vessel began to take shape.
It was a splendid ship with carved sides and bright sails, built to glide as easily over earth as over water.
Simpleton climbed aboard, and the enchanted vessel answered him as if it had been waiting for his hand all along. The ship slid over the meadow without sinking a blade of grass, then turned toward the water as smoothly as wind changes direction. When the ship came sailing over the road and beside the waterway to the castle, the king could no longer pretend that luck alone had carried the young man this far.
You have met every challenge. I can withhold my daughter no longer.
You won me first with laughter, and now you have won my respect as well.
The wedding hall was dressed in flowers and light, yet the greatest marvel in it was how naturally joy now...
Our youngest has come farther through kindness than all our plans ever carried the others.
We mocked him for being simple, and now he stands where none of us could have reached.
The innkeeper's daughters were finally released, and even their humiliation softened into a tale the town would repeat for years.
Before the gathered court, the poor farm boy and the laughing princess stood as equals before their future.
The Golden Goose remained near the altar, like a bright witness to every turn of fortune that kindness had set in motion.
I cannot promise riches beyond what fate gives, but I will always offer you the same open heart that brought me here.
And I will gladly walk beside the man who brought laughter, loyalty, and courage into my life.
At last, the king acknowledged before all present that the match he had resisted was now the pride of his court.
The feast began with music, bright cups, and long tables heavy with food for nobles and villagers alike.
Let the kingdom remember this day, when kindness proved itself stronger than pride and more enduring than rank.
High above the feast, the little grey man watched unseen, satisfied that the heart he had tested had remained true to itself.
For the first time, the parents looked at their youngest son without doubt, and that quiet recognition was its own kind of blessing. When the first dance began, the hall itself seemed to move with them, bright with music and newly awakened happiness. The celebration spilled into the castle gardens, where the kingdom greeted the new couple with cheers instead of ceremony. In time, the kindness that won Simpleton his fortune also shaped the way he listened when others came with their needs. A kingdom is strongest when the small voices are heard first, so speak plainly, and we will settle this fairly.
Come, if you laugh so hard, you must teach me the rules as well.
Even in the quiet garden, the Golden Goose remained a reminder that wonder often arrives disguised as a simple reward for a simple kindness. When the old king's time passed, the kingdom accepted Simpleton not as an accident of fortune, but as a ruler it had learned to trust.
Under their care, the farms prospered, the roads grew safer, and laughter no longer sounded rare within the kingdom's walls.
And so the once mocked youngest son lived long and happily, not because he was cleverer than all others, but because he was kinder.